25 horsepower increase by flopping 2 wires around.
3D printed, plastic, 1-day testing, 5 intake manifolds. We got to get busy. Manifold testing for AFR cylinder heads manifolds. Check this out. First off, 540 cubic inch, naturally aspirated, your typical above average bracket engine. How about that? At the end of this video is the whole buildup on this engine. This particular engine exactly right here is for sale. And this is a package that we have developed on the website too. So make sure you check that out. And the super cool built valve covers, all that kind of stuff. But your above average bracket big block. And we're testing these manifolds for AFR. This is pretty gall darn interesting. 3D printed plastic. Isn't that something cool? Or Teflon, I don't know what they printed it with, but it's something pretty cool. So we got 5 intake manifolds that we're actually gonna be testing. The first intake manifold is just your typical box stock intake manifold. All right. Then we have their full ported intake manifold. Now notice in here the difference. That is, you can see all the epoxy, all the opened up plenum area here. Full port intake manifold. This is pretty gall darn cool, interesting. Then we'll be testing their intake manifold that they've based basically off of the highly modified, different plenum area, different runner dimension, plastic version of it. Very interesting. Then the box stock 4150 carburetor intake manifold, and then their fully ported large plenum area, really worked on runner lengths, working on all stuff, probably so they can do another plastic prototype for this one. They didn't send me this one yet, but we're gonna do this testing in order to show you exactly what we're doing here. So we're just trying to keep this as basic as possible, okay? So for right now, all we're doing is just get the engine running good, box stock carburetor. If it needs any kind of jet work, we'll do that real quick. But what I wanted to do is here's just your basic engine. We're not trying to test for maximum horsepower. We're not hunting for 2.2 horsepower better than everybody else in the universe. Not doing that. All we're trying to do is let's get a really good baseline, not mess with it. Doesn't matter if it's 5 horsepower less than what it should be, or 10 horsepower, or 20 horsepower less, or 20 horsepower more. All we want to do is just have this really nice baseline so we can swap all of these manifolds today and do it all in 1 day. 1 day testing, 5 intake manifolds. We got to get busy. All right, so before we do that, what I wanted to do too was what people normally would do. What most people want to do is they just want to go race their car. They don't want to work on it. They don't want to tune it. They don't want to make 55 passes on it trying to get the carburetor exactly perfect. They just want something that works. So this literally is a box stock 1050 right from Holley, unmodified, and we might end up running a modified carburetor, like bolted on, like the way people really would do it. People really don't spend 50 passes tweaking. Some of you guys might. That's all cool. When you do that, awesome, good for you. But a lot of people just want to go race their car and put a carburetor on and want it to work. Kyle has already at least got this started and set timing. So I think we're gonna come in, warm it up, just start right after making pulls, and we'll take a look at the data. We'll at least get the engine running in a good combination, good spot, and then immediately take this stock manifold off, put the next test 2 manifold in.
Yep. Alright, so that is the very first pull, so we'll just gotta look at some numbers, verify it. Seems like it's reasonably close right there. So far it's probably actually a little under timed for this particular combination. So that's a pretty broad flat, that's a pretty flat torque curve right there. Jeez. Carburetor right box stock out of the freaking box. Box stock. That is as box stock as you're gonna get. We'll even show you the box. Where's the box for that? Oh, it's right there. Box stock. It will be interesting to test after we're all done here. But while we're still have the Dominators on here, I think we'll have to get a prepped carburetor. And I'm not going to get into debate unless somebody wants to pay us to do the debate on whose carburetor does this, that, and the other thing. And I think the way things really should be is you should do it realistically, like what people really do in the world, right, Joe? Is they call up a carb company and say, "This are all my specs. Send me a carburetor." They don't want to work on it. They don't want to adjust the floats. They don't want to change a jet. They don't want to do anything. So
Maybe
put it on.
idle, but like
Maybe
that's it.
idle. That's it. And that's even a bridge they would like to not have to cross. They would just want to put it on and just race it. So it'd be interesting to do that. We ain't gonna do that because I'm not funding up all the carburetors to do that with. But we will. I think we can do that. We'll get this one tuned. Everything's nice. But I mean, that's a nice fuel curve right there. That is pretty nice right there. Like I said, it's probably a little under time, so I think we'll run this thing up 7,500, do a quick valve blast check on it, which is just a check. Make sure everything's all cool, everything's nice. Then this thing's ready to start ripping. It's untuned. I mean, I think we can get a little bit better than that because, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's a little undertimed. And so let's go in and check that out real quick. All right, so that carburetor is pretty darn flat. That's pretty good, pretty nice. I think we're just a little undertimed because in this application, just this good general piece. I mean, that is an unported manifold, butt stock, just a real common bracket piece, box stock intake manifold. Those are AFR 335 enforcer heads, so as cast. So I mean, this is the above average, but just a good economical. You'll see this thing. Go look at it on the website. You can see how much this thing is, and you can see how much this thing is. It's a good economical, good bracket piece. I think we can probably get it up there a little closer to that 900 horsepower range. Race gas, and I don't know. What do you think, Kyle?
Very close.
I think it is pretty close.
Put a couple more degrees.
I think we'll put 2 more degrees in it just to see what it does. Yeah, it sounds good up there too. And let's look at the curve. Oh yes, I mean it's starting to roll up here just a little bit at that 7,500 area. I mean, this would make this is just a good overall bracket, fast street car, naturally aspirated, normal deal. All right, so I am bumping this over for Joe to valve lash. Now you can see here we have a good Jeslo Sportsman rock arms on it, so better than your normal stud mounts kind of setup. Still has time chain gear on it. It's just a really good overall piece. This one has a scat crank, scat rods, and a Race Tech piston. I think we'll just put 2 degrees of timing in this thing, and this thing is like really close. Like we're ready to do the first swap over on it on the full ported cast manifold. Then to be running that plastic one.
Alrighty, so you just saw that I just was checking the timing and look down here, rev it up, and I just brought it down here because you always want to do this. Now, it was at 34 degrees of timing. It was 34 degrees of timing right here. All right, I take off the cap. It is pointing directly at the number 1, which it would because it says 34 here. This is where it actually fires. But here be the problem. That says 34 degrees of timing right there. That magnet is in no way, shape, or form pointed at it. It has to see a magnet in order to tell it to fire. the magnet has to cross past this in order to tell it to fire. What it might be the problem, you might think. It is a polarity issue. So it's firing. It told the MSD control box to fire right here. It didn't end up firing because of the distributor alignment right there. Now this is not a mechanical phasing issue, it's an electronic phasing issue. And what do you think it might be? Isn't that weird? Now,
I bet you someone's made that mistake before.
everybody makes this mistake. And if the pickup is in the distributor, you'll see it right away because the rotor won't be pointed at the number 1. It's a little bit confusing deal, okay? But it's an electronic deal. The polarity needs to be swapped around. That magnet needs to be pointed at or just slightly after in order for that to fire. So everything will line up here when this is all done correctly. So we're gonna flip these wires around and this will be significantly off on timing and we'll have to reset the timing. But what it will be is that magnet will point there at 34 degrees. So we're just gonna flip this around and I'll show you. So you saw it move, never moved the distributor. So now the distributor is actually cross-firing because it's set at 35, 34, but it's firing at 25, all because of this magnetic pickup. And it moved far enough that we have to move a bolt hole. But you could also see now that magnet is pointed at the pickup. So now we would just be able to come in here and do the correct method, which is set it where we want it, right there. We'll do it right at the same 35, 34. Point the magnet at it. It'll start up and it will be right. There you go. See if that one will get it. To verify, same timing, we're just going to run it now with correct polarity. I don't even know if it's going to make a difference, but it's correct. Well, that's interesting.
A lot less horsepower.
It makes it significantly less horsepower. How about that? Yep. Let's try it again. Now, to verify, I have the distributor rotor phasing is correct. It always was correct. It's a polarity issue electronically. Let's compare that. This is identical to identical, 5 minutes apart. Flip 2 wires around. All right, so as we can see here, I just had to change some colors around because I'm getting confused. Interestingly enough, and it is just how the electronics are working, it's the blue line is what we just is previous. The red line is what we just did. Okay, so it's, yeah, I mean, it's basically the same. I guess basically the same. Maybe just a tick less, but up here in the high RPM, look at that. It was 834. It is now, look at how it took off up here. And it's probably due to a little bit of electronic, or, you know, the spark scatter. Might not be spark scatter, but there's stuff going on. Stuff ain't lined up, point blank, okay? There it is. That is 859. That is a 25 horsepower increase by flopping 2 wires around. Interesting. Same timing, same everything. Everything's the same.
And there was no hint that it was running bad or it
And
was
it,
misfiring.
it wasn't misfiring, it wasn't doing anything, but there's stuff going on that's wrong in there. So, mental note. That's always good to know. And if that's on EFI with a crank trigger like that, and you're using a distributor EFI crank trigger, it can really screw stuff up too, because you're on the high, you're on the falling side or rising side, and it doesn't like that. Okay, so it's a mismatch. So anyways, 859, I'm actually thinking that's pretty good right there. We'll just round that off to 860 number. I think we're gonna go ahead and just leave it, because we're not hunting for just the maximum horsepower. We can tune this thing later. We just want to have the direct comparison between what that is right now, 859 horsepower, and do intake manifold swap. On to test number 2.
Well, per as normal, didn't realize, and we need to keep the test consistent. We were dynoing it on C14 fuel. Don't have any more C14 fuel. We're not going to be able to finish all the testing, so the only thing I have is C16. So we're going to give you the direct comparison between C16 and C14 fuel, because we need to get the re-baseline with the different fuel in it. All right, so we're going to put this different fuel in it and make a hit.
That's fair enough. That's actually what I would have figured I would have done, to tell you the truth. All right, so you can see right there, and this is basically what I maybe would have figured, because I believe C14 is a oxygenated fuel, which is always just makes a slight bit more horsepower than a C16. So C16 is not. C16 is like a rock solid turbo fuel, boosted fuel. That's why we have C16 here. So anyways, that makes perfect sense. It's just a slight bit off. It was just a little bit off way down here. It was 572 versus 581, which is 9. Yeah, and this is 8. So yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. So I feel good with that. So this is our new baseline. Right here, 682 foot-pounds of torque, 851 horsepower. Yeah, I think everything, that's it. It's just a really nice little general combination. So above average bracket. So above average big block. There we go. So anyways, let's get this manifold off here. Looks like Joe's got work to do through lunch.
All right, so here is the stock manifold. Kyle just took this thing off. You can see this is all stock in here. All right. This is the full ported version of this manifold, full ported by the guys over at AFR. And then we will put on the, after we test the full ported version, then we're gonna test the plastic one. So let's run this thing.
13 better at a quite a bit higher RPM. It actually was, it should have revved up like 8,000 because it kept on going there. Let's bring this up. Oh, all right. So blue line or green line is our base test C16 stock manifold. A little bit better through here. A little bit better pretty much everywhere. We'll look at our AFR, see if it's changed our carburetor any. Definitely picked up out here. And then quite a bit right there. That is a 863 to 830. Let's see, here, let's just bring up the results. Especially at 7,500, 834 to 862. It's almost 30 horsepower better up there. And it was carrying for a little bit. So given that we just bolted this thing on, that was just our first hit back to back. So I'm going to do another one right now as it's just sitting there, and just to see if we can get it to make sure it's repeating. Let me look at my O2. Why did this change? I had all this on there before. Why did this change? Oh, O2 is right here. Sorry. All right, my bad. All right, and our O2, oh, this thing actually got a little richer. That's interesting. So we were at 12.7s. Our average was 12.74. Our new average is 12.48. Okay, so it is pulling a little bit of fuel. That is interesting. So that is just a direct, let's do it again because this will be a direct comparison. And then I think we will go in there and take just probably like 1 or 2 number sizes of jet out of it to see what it does. So we can, we wanted the absolute, now I got to think how I want to do this. We wanted an absolute direct comparison of only the intake manifold. Without changing carburetor, without changing fuel. So I guess I can continue to go back and forth on that. I'm just trying to be very consistent here. Well, I'm going to make one more run, and then I'll determine if we're going to take a little bit of jet out of it. I'm going to take a little bit of jet out of it and lean this up. Because it's still, it's pretty good, pretty nice all the way through here, laid over right here, but it went even richer. Heat in the manifold, maybe look at the overall averages. So we were 718 before, then went 722, then back down to 718. 659, 56. Very close, but it has definitely changed our carburetor. So we're definitely going to do a little bit of jet change here. Yeah, interesting. Don't want to go there. But you definitely didn't want to go right there to set to 8,000. I'm not sure if there's a chip or something in there.
I was gonna say maybe there's
Might have a chip, but might have an 8,000 chip in it. Let's take a look here. That's the best horsepower yet. I mean, that's correct. I'm running up here just a little bit. Looks nice down here. I could hear it. The sweep rate was just a little bit off. All right, so we're going to just rerun that test and just kind of back it up and see what it's doing. So I do think that it did lean up and did go back to its 12.67 on average. So that was pretty normal. It picked up there. It didn't sweep real smooth right through there. It doesn't want to go to 8,000 RPM, at least not very well. Well, let's run it one more time. We'll just figure it out. All right. Now we're twice into that. Let's look and see what our graph looks like. And it sounded smoother. It's the blue line right here. Little dip through there. A little inverted from what the green was, that's pretty interesting. I think I'm gonna totally discount this one. I don't like the way that you could hear the way the dyno was loading and was pretty consistent. But they're all really consistent right down here. But it does do what you would figure it would do, which is makes better high RPM, bigger plenum volume, better runner. Could accent more and more on bigger cylinder head, bigger engine. This is a pretty basic engine. All right, so we can see here the green line is our stock manifold C16 base. Looks reasonable. Then this light blue line is our C16 test 2 intake manifold, or second intake manifold, which is a full ported version. It pretty much is consistently better except for this little weeble right here. But in all reality, it went richer, and I think that it is, a solid 12 better. Out here, it's even more. We're just gonna say 12 better. And right here, let's see, we can go at 5,000, it is 635.44, so it's 11 better. 6,000, we are 1275, 1262, so it's still actually still a tick lean. I'm sorry, it's still a tick richer. Looks like it's pulling more fuel, I would say. We were 676, 686, so that's 10. 7,000 or 631. I'm sorry, 842. Or I was just comparing torque numbers, wasn't it? Or it was same thing. Horsepower numbers here were 842, 12.5, 839, 12.7. Dang it.
842,
there we go.
12.7.
12.74, 842, 12.5, 840, 12.7, 863. So that's a solid, well, that's 21 better right there. At 7,000, it's 21 better. And then 7,500, we're at 34 and 53. Yeah, 34, 53, so that'd be 12. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty solid comparison. And it's gotten our tune up, our AFR. I haven't changed timing or anything. I'm just trying to maintain a basic tune right here, and so we're very good right there. If we look at our average, we were average 12.74. Our average now is 12.67. When it was 12.48, it was actually just down a little bit. Average power is up. Everything's looking good. Yep, and it was 718 to 24. So that on average, that would only be 6.5 better, but I think it's about 12 better, and where we're really looking. All right, so now let's look at our billet or our 3D printed. Now, what I'm assuming is that this is identical to, well, it's not. I know it's not, because I can see that there's a different shape right here that they have. So it'll be interesting to see what this does. Now, after we do this, we'll put this one on. We'll just try to make sure that our AFR is the same, that part of it's looking good. Then we're gonna do Pro System sent over a carburetor, and we'll throw that thing on and see box stock, right out of the freaking box, does it make more horsepower or not? Okay, so let's get this thing swapped over. All right, so here is the full port version, and I really do think that this would have continued to get, if this would be like a demand issue. Think about it that way. So like, the more the engine demands, the better a ported intake manifold would be. Like, we could put this intake manifold on a
on your stock 454 with oval ports. Well, not literally, but your stock 454 with a hydraulic flat tappet camshaft that makes 500 horsepower, and this probably wouldn't do anything. But the more demand that it pulls on it, so this engine actually is probably just a tick small for what this kind of intake manifold is for. But it's still interesting. So I mean, it's still pretty solid. I'm real confident it's a solid 12-ish horsepower better over the stock manifold. And at higher RPM, it's about 20 something better. So I think that all makes sense. That's cool. Let's get this thing off. We're trying to make sure, because we're just like changing this thing over and like not even putting gaskets on it. Ah. So it has these cool inserted aluminum plates. I think insert. Well, I'm not sure exactly how it all works, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what this thing does. First indication, we got water in it. It's not pouring out yet. 3D printed. If this thing makes a bunch more horsepower, they're gonna print everything.
Plastic manifold for everyone.
Plastic manifold for everybody. 3D printed. Some form of plastic manifold. All right, that's a good sign. It's not pouring water out of it, and it must not have a vacuum leak because it's at the same idle RPM.
Right.
Okay. Now, I gotta imagine something was wrong here. Let's see what the heck. The first thing I noticed was it didn't pull it back down. It didn't pull it below 4,000. So I thought, oh, it's going to be good. Well, what the heck?
You went past 6,000, didn't you?
I went past 6,000. 6,100. Oh, it only.
Just stop
Why did it
recording.
only record to 6,100? What in the crap, Ramathorn? All right, so it did record. I don't know what's going on with it. But this is previous with the best ported manifold is the dark line right here. See, 877. What was 870? Yeah, 876, 877. Right here we're at 857 and down. But let's see where we're at on our result table for our AFR. 12, sorry, I got out of order. This is 10, this is 9. So 12.47. So it's gotten rich again. What in the heck is going on? So it is definitely rich. 6,500, 12.48 to 12.65, 7,400, 12.24 to 12.77. Well, I think we're going to run it again. Just see where it's at, and then we'll go in and change the jet. And then when we get it running good, then we're gonna put that Pro Systems carburetor on here. That is I don't know. All right, that's the best torque it's made yet. Now this is no tuning change
See, 893 torque is the best. Let's go over here. Yeah, I mean, we're way good down here. It's picked way up, but it is not happy. All right, we're just gonna make them both the same color. That's ridiculous. Okay, green is best cast. Red is prototype plastic. But better down here for torque by far. 94 to 681, so 13 better in torque there. Then it gets to be the same and then crosses over, gets less up here. But if we go over here to our AFR down at peak, let's see what it is at peak torque. At peak torque, it's got a little more fuel at it. Quite a bit more. Oh, look at this. It is kind of messing with the fuel curve here. Yeah, let's go over here and see if we can get this to come up right. Interesting. So it starts up, it's really messing with the carburetor. That is interesting. It'll lean up here, whereas basically, let's see, that's 5,600. Yeah, that's exactly the same right there. Where the O2 is exactly the same, it was exactly the same. I'm going to change jet again. I'm not 100% sure here if it's a matter of the intake manifold's getting better, so it drawing more fuel. Now it's all in the 11s. It has a O2 average of 11.66. Of course it's down on power. What the heck? I didn't do any jet change because I just did a little high speed air bleed change, thinking I would just tune it up a little bit, and it's gone the other way. So, God dang it. 11 starts out 11.7. In the middle it's 11.7, 11.78. In the end it's 11.66, so it's actually pretty flat. I am totally fascinated by this manifold. I've had to lean it way down to get the horsepower to come back up, and that is crazy. So let's get rid of this. Oops. All right, so it's more clear to see there. Maybe it just is what it is. This is really interesting. Is the green line is the full ported gas manifold, by far and away the best. Off colored blue line here, let's make it we'll make it a different color here. Pink. Nate says pink. There. The pink line is just bolting the intake manifold on, but it is way rich. Way rich. And in fact, it's in the 11.6, I think it was, right around there. Then the black line is, I've taken a bunch of jet out of this thing. I didn't show you a couple of jet changes because it just didn't change anything. And now the black line is better on the bottom, and the O2, so let's see, O2 at 5,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, and then it pretty much goes south. So 456, O2 at 4, 12.87, 12.89, and it's better by 20 foot-pounds of torque. 5,000, 12.69, 12.69. All right, and that's, so keep in mind, this is the best. This is the one that was just flat out pig fat rich. Okay, exactly the same, and it is about 5 better. So 666, to 671, 5 better. Then at 6,000 RPM, 12.6, 686, 13.1. So it goes a little lean right here, and it's 680. And then at 7,000, it's 12.7, 12.7, 638. I'm sorry, 829.
Nope.
Or sorry,
864.
864. Thank you. Too many numbers. 864 to 850. So it's down 15. Huh. Our overall average is 1284 versus 1267. 75 is 1275. 1255. It still goes rich up here. Yeah, really. God darn weird, interesting. So it's 12.5 at peak horsepower here, which is rich. So it's 12.5, 857. 11.6, 838. 12.77, 876. So the thing goes lean right through here. I mean, I think you can get the perfect or the correct carburetor. I think that the 3D printed one is better down low, just point blank. It's better than the cast manifold. Not as good as the cast one, I think it would end up being the same as the cast manifold. All things said and done, it probably is better. Again, I'm wondering if it's something related to how much engine it is that's on here. So, pretty interesting. You know, just trying to get the fuel curve back to be similar, but each intake manifold is taking a different fuel curve because it's so rich in it up, especially this plastic or the 3D printed one. It's so rich just bolting it on. It's like, all right, we're gonna put the race carburetor on, and let's just put it on and just see what it does. I mean, I have a pretty good idea that with the proper fuel curve, this thing would be better on the bottom by like 10 to 15, the same up on top. So I think it should make, if we just sat there and just jerked around with this carburetor forever, trying to get a perfect, nice, really nice flat curve in it, it would probably be better and end up being the same. So what I'm gonna say, that's where this manifold is at. Let's see what this carburetor does here. All right, so you just saw, oh darn, baseline test with the Pro Systems carburetor. Now it did make some more horsepower here, 865, but this carburetor is lean. So we go out here, this carburetor, it's lean. Our average is 13.6 versus 1280, well, yeah, 1284 for the stock carburetor over here that I messed around. So, and 865. So we're gonna go in there and put a little more fuel in it. 887, 683. Yeah, this one is 13.5, 14.0.
What jet does it have in it right now?
I don't know. I just threw it right on. All right, let's go in there and change jet on this thing real quick. All right, so one jet change. Got to be fair. Oh my gosh! Just downloaded new software, and quite apparently, gonna have to give Yostein a little bump because quite apparently it is not right. Because it's going to bring it all out right here. Yeah, it's 870, 870. Still lean. Interesting.
13.4 compared to 13.7.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, it richened up. It's picked up. It's still a little lean here. I'd like to get a little more fuel in it. And our at 4,000. 13.4, now 13.0. Yeah, 5.8. So it's up right here by a little. We go in here, and then if we rerun this, it'll bring up the rate numbers. And there you go, 870, 688. So now we go back over here, and it shows rate numbers. Oh, see now? So that's looking good. That's looking much better. So that's better than the stock carburetor with one jet change. So the black line is our stock carburetor. So it's the same on torque right here. And just a little bit better than our stock carburetor. Now we probably could have, I needed to mess around with this stock carburetor. Just tried leaning it up here. And now this one's a tick lean. So I think we're going to do one more jet change to be fair and try to get our carburetor. And very interesting jet differences in this thing. Astronomically different. This has 93, 80, 83, 93. Yeah. Or no, I'm sorry, 80, 93. So I'm going to put some more jet in the front. I think I'm just going to put some jet in the front and see if we can get it to come around. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Torque looks good, power looks good. I think that pretty reasonable. Got a little dip there. It's actually, no, it's actually probably wants, it might very well want to run just a little bit leaner. Let's see what our O2 was. Just a little bit smoother through here. 12.89, so our average was 12.60. And we had gotten our stock carburetor at an average of 12.84. So this is a little bit leaner here, which we were going to try getting to anyways. Really nice flat fuel curve there, a little rich down here. 12.2. Our black test, which was the last one with the stock carburetor. Pretty big swings and then goes way down here. So definitely a better fuel curve with the Pro Systems carburetor than the, yeah, and then this was just, you know, after one jet change, it's flat. It's definitely much flatter fuel curve. So I think the carburetor is a little more workable for sure than jerking around with, and just so dramatically different on jetting than what the, because now we're at a 86.93 jet in that carburetor versus a 78.80 in that stock carburetor. So, and it started out with an 87.87 on the stock manifold. So very interesting how this manifold changes things. So let's go from here, because I think this is actually reasonable. I think with a bunch of work, we might be able to get the stock carburetor there. Probably. I think so. But let's go back and look at our previous best tests, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. It is, this manifold for sure, no matter what we do, is better on the bottom. And then I can get pretty darn close to the top. Would have been interesting to test the Pro Systems carburetor on every manifold, but it just, you know, we're running out of time because I'm doing this today. You're watching this at 7 o'clock on Thursday. It is 5:54 right now. So, long story short, I think as far as just, I'm really actually surprised that in this particular combination, box stock manifold, make sure your wires are flipped around correct polarity, and box stock carb in this particular application is pretty good. I think with what they probably are going to end up with in an intake manifold, because that's the prototype, probably that manifold and a box stock carburetor probably would be, you know, in the probably 20-ish plus horsepower better. And I really do think that probably with the Pro Systems carburetor, all things said and done equal, spend a little more time on it, it would be worth probably 30 horsepower more. And I think that now I'm really wondering, it's so interesting which way it went on fuel. You agree? You think that's what you're kind of gathering from the testing?
Seems about right.
Seems
And
about
there's
right.
definitely a jump with this carburetor and with the new manifold too, this
Yeah.
style.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what we're actually just basically coming up with here. Oh, yeah, yeah. See, our stock base was there. So that was our best stock base. I need to get rid of this blue stock. There's some spots where it's almost identical. Really interesting. This whole area right here doesn't care. 280 race engines from 5,000 to 6,000. But it does care here. At the bottom, stock, best ported cast manifold, prototype manifold. And that kind of inverts a little bit. Stock manifold, prototype manifold, best cast manifold with stock carburetor. I think this probably would have been. I think this probably would have been a little bit better with the Pro Systems. I mean, 10 horsepower maybe, 10 horsepower, and probably, you know, with maybe just one jet change. So I think that's all pretty good. Obviously, it's too late. We're not going to be able to show you testing on the 4150 manifolds for this engine. So if you want to see what the 4150 manifolds do on this engine, I do have good carburetors that are like rock solid every freaking time. They're supposed to be rock solid every time. Be interesting to see. Come back on Saturday video, because we're going to give you an extra bonus video Saturday of the buildup of this engine. So everything's in it, how we build it, why we build it, what Joe does in between time of not building it and building it, how much time he spends on his phone, how much time he spends combing his hair. Check it out.
Does it look like it's combed, or does it look like a wreck?
No, it's just
Well,
obviously not much time combing the hair. Anyways, if you want to come back Saturday, bonus video, see how much horsepower this makes with the 4150 manifolds, full port and a stock one, and then the full buildup of this engine. So make sure you're here. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this to your neighbors, and share it out there so we can support the youth of America like Real Deal Neil, who, yeah, has to go to school because he's like 16, you know. 17? Shoot, dude. You've been here for a long time. I remember when you were 15 years old, Neil. Yep. We gotta support the dogs too. All right, I'm Steve Morris. You are?
Double Joe. Real deal, Neil.
Nate.
Have a great day.